People of the world, welcome back to Send It Rising. Aren't you so happy that you're listening to my nasally voice? Yes, you are. We're back. And did you know that I don't believe in, coincidences? That means we have a guest on the show today. Who is she? You're going to find out in a couple of minutes. You see, floppy disks. Are you familiar? The disks that actually flopped back in the day. You used to be able to just take one of them, put it in the machine, and then do something like A colon, B colon. I don't remember what she said, but backstage, our guest was telling us about how you could just steal stuff using the ancient witchcraft of floppy disks. Anyway, and this particular moment, our guest realized that the attorney that was dealing with the copyright statement was getting paid, and it seemed really fun to kind of play in this world of copyright. What is it exactly? Fast forward a number of years and a divorce later. Can you imagine doing a part-time JD program? That's becoming a lawyer, ladies and gentlemen, at 40 something. Walking with your daughter down the graduation aisle. That's wild. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today is going to blow your mind. We're talking about intellectual property. That's IP. Welcome to the show, the one, the only, Nancy Delain.
Thanks, Kellen.
So much to talk about. I love that after the divorce, you went and, like you said, shit or get off the pot and did the JD thing. So let's talk about the chutzpah, the energy, the soul that you needed to make that happen.
Okay. Well, I started life I started life as a lifeguard. Um, that was way back. That was way back in the nether reaches of time when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. Um, and then I went to college and I lifeguarded my way through college. That was my summer job. And I came out of college and I worked in a lab for a couple of years because I was a biology major. Okay. Not the usual background for a lawyer. Usually lawyers major in things like English or sociology or government or political science or something along those lines. Not me. I majored in a hard science. And so I spent a couple of years working in a virology lab in a Nobel laureate think tank called Rockefeller University. It's down in New York City. And then I decided that no, I didn't want to spend the rest of my life passing cells and growing virus. So I went back to graduate school for technical writing, where I spent the next 20 years of my life. Okay, then, metamorphosis number 2 happens. And I said, it really is time to, as I said, shit or get off the pot. I was in the middle of a divorce and I said, it's time to either do this. I've been thinking about law school for a long time. It's time to do this or not do it. So I decided to do it. And I got really lucky because at the time I was a single parent. I had a childcare problem. And these 2 women came forth out of the universe. The universe is a wonderful place. In case nobody believes in the universe, believe in the universe. And one of them, these 2 women took my daughter on the 2 days when I had to go to class. And if one of them flaked on me, and that happened occasionally, then I would simply bring my daughter to school with me, park her in the bowels of the law library, which the law librarians loved to begin with, let me tell you, and went to class. And at the end of my 1L year, the law librarians would come ganged up on me because they had really resented being asked to babysit my child. And they said to me, we really wish our students were as good as your daughter is. So law school was kind of the universe saying, yeah, do it.
So hold on. So your daughter was really well behaved and they loved her? Is that the
My
idea
daughter was
behind the
9 years
law?
old and she sat there and did nothing but watch Pokemon tapes.
And they were cool with that.
Sat there quietly. They had a VCR at the bottom. She was firmly instructed that if anybody needed the machine she was on, she was to vacate it and read a book.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this one law librarian who loved Pokemon as much as my daughter did. So they would sit there and watch these Pokemon tapes together.
I love that because what you're doing is you're not allowing the lack of childcare to dictate your future. You're finding childcare out of the ether. You know what I mean? And it's so funny because
That's
there's these,
exactly what it was
you know
too.
what I mean? You're just like, and if you've got money, you can just throw money at the problem, right? And
I don't have
sometimes,
to go. That's a they'll leave a voicemail.
oh yeah, you're good. But yeah, sometimes money stifles creativity is the point I'm trying to make. It's like,
It
because if you've,
can.
right, because you're just sort of like, you're making like good money. You're like, you just hire whomever, and they're taking care of you, whatever. But here you are going, how am I going to make this happen? And what's so funny about lawyers to me is that people, by and large, who don't have much experience with lawyers and their family sort of stuff, have this stereotype of attorneys as rich, right? You got tons of money. It's like you're an attorney. Like, what are you whining about this, that, and the other thing? And here you are talking about, the Pokemon babysitter, right? And the librarians hooking you up for free, right? To be able to kind of make this thing happen.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't just the Pokemon babysitter. It was there was a woman in the choir I sang at church who spotted I would bring my daughter to choir practice. And this woman said to herself, "Oh, this woman has a childcare problem." And when I announced to this choir that I was going to church, and this was a choir at a big church, this was Trinity Church in Boston, okay? This was, Copley Square, massive church. And she said, let's go to lunch. And I said, okay. And she says to me, "You are a woman with a childcare problem who's going to be trying to go to law school, and I would like to help you with that." I was like, she did. Tess, my daughter loved her. My daughter's name is Tess. And she took Tess on Thursdays, and, law school was 2 blocks away from church. So, this lady had choir practice on Thursday nights. And Tess would go to church. I would drive the 2 blocks at the end. I would wave at the lady who took care of my kid, and we would leave. And meanwhile, Tess was fed. She has a major collection of Beanie Babies, because every time this lady sees a child, she gives it a Beanie Baby. And then the other one was this woman whose daughter wanted to go to Smith College. She wanted her daughter to go to Smith College. The daughter wanted nothing to do with it. I'm a Smith alum. And this lady calls me up out of the blue and says, "I really want my daughter to go to Smith, but she doesn't want to. What do I do?" I said, "All right, first thing you're going to do is back off, Mom." And, just forget it. Have your daughter fill out the application. It's a practice application. Okay. It doesn't matter if it gets, this is Lucy. If it gets accepted or not, this is a practice application for the school she really does want to go to.
Right.
And Mom said, "Mom, oh, by the way, you're going to pay for the application. You're not going to make the daughter do it. You're going to pay the application fee." And Mom said, "Okay, that's fine, not a problem." So that's exactly what she did. And the daughter got in at Smith and did not get accepted at her dream school.
Oh,
Daughter
wow.
ended up going to Smith. Daughter loved Smith. Daughter still loves Smith. This is
Sure.
20 years later. So it's, life just seems to, the universe works.
Yeah, I love that you said that earlier, and I agree with that. I think when we allow ourselves to see the universe as a generous and good place, it's easier. It's just like, if you're hungry and you drive through a town, you're going to see all the restaurants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's what we choose to sort of focus on.
Right.
So all right, so you go through law school. That's a harrowing journey. You end up on the other side of it,
Oh,
and
I
you have an
loved law school. It wasn't hair raising at all. It was great.
oh, you know what? You're right. And I didn't say it, I said harrowing.
It
But
wasn't harrowing either. It was great.
it feel you know what? You got the right perspective. I'm going to give that one to you. So you get out of law school, and then you have an opportunity to either go work for somebody or work for yourself. And I already know what the answer is, but why don't you tell the fine folks what you chose?
I work for myself. I'm the world's worst employee, and I know it. I spent 20 years as a tech writer being the world's worst employee. So
What
when I
what makes the world's worst employee?
somebody who can do it for themselves and knows that they can do it for themselves and says, "If I can do it for you, I can do it for me."
But why were you the world's worst employee? That's my question.
because I would rather be doing it for me.
Oh, okay. So you're like
And if I'm
phoning it
doing it
in.
for them, I'm kind of resenting that they're paying me pennies on their dollar to do it for
Ah,
them.
sure,
That's
sure.
why. I'm the world's
it's
worst employee. I
it's
really
the
am. I'm
resentment.
terrible. I'm
Okay,
terrible.
so
I'm a great contractor. I do my job, but as an employee, no thank you.
yeah, that's fair. So that means that you got to go get your own clients, right?
Right.
And so how the heck do you go about that?
Oh, that's the hard part. Okay. The first thing a fresh out of law school solo attorney does is get involved with other lawyers. Okay, you have to know kind of where you want to go with the law, and I knew I wanted to be an intellectual property lawyer. There was no question in my mind, and business law kind of tags along with intellectual property, so I broadened out to that. Um, but the first thing you do is you get a hold of other lawyers, and there are lots of lawyers who do IP, but not every lawyer does it. Okay, it is a specialty niche. Certainly, if you're a patent lawyer, which I am, patent lawyers are kind of few and far between, because not only do you pass a state bar for patent designation, you also have to pass the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office's charming little exam. And in order to even sit for that charming little exam, you have to have majored in a hard science in college or have the
What?
equivalent of an undergraduate hard science degree.
I had no idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Wild.
So, here I am. I actually spent my first year out of law school studying for that patent bar because, as I said, I was a bio major in college, so I qualified. It was good.
Hmm.
It was weird though. I majored in biological sciences because that's what Smith snootily calls biology.
Sure.
And I had to prove to the United States Patent and Trademark Office that biological sciences is the equivalent of biology,
That's so
which
stupid.
means that I had to go back to the 1974 to 78 catalogs, get the course descriptions out of those catalogs, and ship them off to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office.
So dumb. That sort of
It
stuff
was. It
drives
was
me
ridiculous. They have
crazy.
amended that rule since, but that was just ridiculous.
It's like, why do you need to make my life unnecessarily harder? This I don't understand.
Yeah, well, there it
I
is.
feel like that's the equivalent of, when you're driving and you're in the left lane and that person decides to go the exact same speed as the person in the right lane and they
Yeah,
create like a barrier that lasts for
yeah,
like 25 miles and everyone
yeah,
just wants to pass them. That's that person in the
yeah.
I don't blame the person. I a little bit blame the person in the right lane for not like noticing and like speeding up or slowing down. But like that person in the left lane has made some deal with Satan where I don't know, they've decided
Or they're
that
playing games with the guy behind them.
or they just their hatred has overcome their sense of morality and dignity, and they've just decided to make everyone's life that much worse. That's the equivalent of the office that thinks that biological sciences is somehow different than biology and requires you to go to great lengths to
Don't
prove
ask
it
me to
to them.
explain it.
Power
It's a
trip.
government agency, okay?
Just,
You know,
oh, God help us.
I've long since given up trying to explain those things.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm trying to get my blood pressure to simmer back down. So
Yeah, bring the blood pressure back down,
I'm
fellow.
so angry. So so anyway, you go out on your own. You're few and far between are the IP folks because of all of these shenanigans the hoops they make you jump through. And this whole thing, you had to have a hard science bachelor. Like, who knows that? Like,
Very few
nobody.
people who are not patent practitioners know that, but that one actually makes sense. Okay, because patents deal with some very technical stuff. Okay, you're patenting things like drugs, you're patenting chemicals, you're patenting nanotechnology. You're dealing with cutting edge science.
Yeah,
And
science.
you have to have the background, at least be able to ask intelligent questions of the inventor. And people with a government background who have never taken a science course in their lives don't have that background. So
Yeah.
they,
Let's talk about Einstein for a second because he worked in
okay.
a
He was
patent
he was a patent
office.
examiner.
Yeah. So what's
Before he became Albert Einstein, he was a patent examiner.
exactly? So basically, what the heck? Do you know what he did? Like, what was
He
his job
examined
at that time?
patents.
I know, but
He
what does
examined
that mean? So, like, across his
what that
desk would
a
come
patent
some.
examiner is somebody who works for the government.
Oh, he's a
Okay,
government employee. Okay.
they're a government employee, and Einstein was a government employee in Germany.
Yeah.
Okay, in 1920s Germany at this point. And he worked for the German government. And what would happen is people would submit their applications for patent to the patent office that he worked for, the German patent office, and they parcel these applications out among their team of examiners. And Einstein would sit there and examine a patent, and what he would look for is, does this invention exist somewhere else?
Right.
Can you take two inventions that are that 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 are kind of interwoven and put them together to get this invention?
Mm.
Have you met all the formal requirements of the patent application? Meaning, do you have drawings? Do you have an abstract? Do you have a specification? Do your claims reflect what's in the specification? All that stuff, all that techie stuff that patent lawyers do.
Yeah.
And Einstein would sit there and either grant or deny patents to patent applicants. That's what a patent examiner does.
How many people get rich off patents? Like,
Very
number
few.
of very few. So it's just like everything else. It's like
Yeah,
0.1% of people.
98% of the patents of the issued patents are junk. Literally, I know of a patent that has it's a bird trap. Okay, I'm sure this guy never made any money off of this thing. It's a bird trap, and understand the bird trap has has an opening at the top, and then there's a chute that goes down, and at the bottom, the device that kills the bird is a hungry cat. That's the invention.
You know what? It got approved?
It's an issued patent.
You know what? I didn't know
And
you
then
could get
and
a
then
I
there's
didn't
the
know you
house
could
on
get a patent for
stilts.
a hungry cat.
Yeah,
Tell me
then
about
there's
this
the
house
house
on
on the
stilts.
stilts. This one kind of makes sense. There's the house on the stilts. Okay, this house is on stilts, and the stilts have a hydraulic lift so that they can raise and lower the house.
That makes sense.
And the idea is to build your house on the beach and have stilts so that you avoid the floods when the hurricanes
I
come.
love that idea.
Isn't that cool?
I love it. You know what? I just realized, this quote from Einstein, that imagination is more important than intelligence.
Yep,
I get that, from a patent examiner's perspective, because
I love that quote.
how imaginative are you? And I bet he sees a bunch of unimaginative, really smart people trying to put these patents across. And then it's so funny that he turned, that sort of flexing that imagination muscle so many years in the patents office into understanding the universe, because he just imagined things. He imagined thought
Right.
experiments that other people wouldn't do. Like, if you travel faster than the speed of light, or if you approach the speed of light, it's just like another patent. It's like a patent for a space travel device. Like,
Right.
does that make sense? Like, his great ideas.
It makes sense. You're not going to get a patent on that because
No, I know
at
that.
least
I'm
not
just
in
saying
this,
that's
at,
what.
at least not
I'm
in this
making a
iteration
leap.
of time space. You
No,
can't go faster than the speed of light.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, but I'm talking about the imagination muscle.
Oh, I
Like,
know. I
you know what I
know.
mean?
I
Yeah,
know exactly what you mean. And then
yeah.
he came up with all this stuff out of his imagination, and later most of it has proved experimentally to be accurate.
Yeah, I wonder if he created it in his imagination, and then he just manifested it out in the universe with his super mind, and we're all just like, it's funny to me because you've got, like, you take Minecraft, for example. Or maybe you don't know Minecraft. It doesn't matter. Just of any video game, it's just the pixels, and they just, like, flash in different vibrations, and then it creates the illusion of movement, which I'm
Right.
pretty sure is what's happening in the universe
That's
anyway.
exactly what happens on any television.
Yeah,
It's
bingo. But I think that this is what's happening. I think literally my entire body is just a composition of, like, these light little pixels. And we're on a hologram. We're in a video game. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just a
I hear you.
character
I
in a
hear you.
video game. That's what it feels like to me. So you
That
got
that
these.
that would make a great short story.
It's the Matrix. You know what I mean? It's been
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
It's
I
not like
know.
it's a
I
new
know.
idea.
It's Tron. It was done before the Matrix.
Thank
It was
you,
Tron.
Tron. I love Tron. God, such a good show. Anyway, so that's fun. I can see why you're into this sort of world, So when a client comes to you, what do they want by and large? What's your main kind of client? Why are they paying you?
They're paying me because I'm the person who can bring them back to Earth.
Because they're delusional.
Sometimes they are. Sometimes that's the right word. Um,
So you're dealing with delusional people that have a little bit of money.
yeah, well, it's there's a song. It's a Rodgers and Hammerstein from their Cinderella. Impossible. Things are
Okay.
happening. Impossible. Things are happening every day.
Okay.
And that's the world I deal in.
I don't get it. I mean, they're like pie in the sky. Like this is gonna be the
Yeah,
greatest
and
thing
many of them are pie in the
ever.
sky. It's like the house on the stilts. Okay, who
Oh,
thinks of a house on stilts? You know,
yeah, yeah. Well,
and you put
it's
a
not just
hydraulic lift under this house on stilts. Yeah,
it like 20-ton house. It's not just look, it's not just the guy or gal that thinks about the house on stilts. It's the one that's really passionate about it. That's the difference. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Because like my kids might
Sometimes,
be like, "Oh,
sometimes
wouldn't it
this,
be
but
cool?"
sometimes people go, I have an invention and I'm going to make $1 million, and that's what they're passionate
Mhm.
about, is making the $1 million.
Right.
Those are the patents that usually fail.
Yeah.
It's when you're passionate about what it is you're doing
Yeah.
that you're going to succeed.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's age old wisdom there for sure. So let's talk about someone who actually has can you talk about a patent that you helped bring to life that you
Sure,
were proud
glad to.
about? Yeah.
Would you like to talk about a thing or a method?
Thing.
Okay, let's talk about a thing. There's the very first patent I ever wrote. This guy has an invention for a device that cleans the inside wall of a fish tank.
Yeah. Is that the
Okay,
magnet thing?
it's the magnet thing. I
I
wrote that.
love that thing. You did
Yeah,
that? Let's
yeah.
go.
Yeah, it's the magnet thing.
God, I
And
love that
not
thing. It's
only does it
brilliant.
clean the inside wall, it can also hold the aerator and move the aerator around with the magnet.
So
It can
smart.
hold, if you put fish food in there, I suppose the fish food would all float up. But if you have a certain kind of fish that doesn't have floaty fish food, then you can
Yeah.
put fish food in there, and you can put whatever you want. But the thing is that he invented this thing for a saltwater tank, okay? Because when you
Sure.
dip your hand into a saltwater tank, you are introducing the oils and the sweat and the dirt and the whatever's on your hand into that very delicate ecosystem, and thereby injuring the ecosystem. So when you can do this with a magnet, and keep your hand on the outside of the water, all of a sudden you're not your fish tank is more ecologically stable. Um,
Sure.
so that was and by damn, that patent went right through. I was really amazed because I thought, here we are getting a patent on a magnet. Uh,
Yeah.
and magnetism is a force of nature, which is, excuse me, not patentable. Um, yeah. And but
I think, and
went right through. I was amazed.
he had financial success, right? Because I've seen it. So clearly he sold some of these things, right? Like he made
Clearly
some
he
money.
sold some of these things, and
So
I've kind of lost touch with him over the years. That was a while ago.
I'm
Um,
saying and one of the reasons why I think it's so successful is because magnetism is one of the only like magical forces, like fire is really
Magnetism and
magical.
gravity.
Oh, magnetism is, but specifically magnetism, because like you give a magnet to a kid and they're just like, what? I mean, I literally
And then
play.
the magnet picks up not only what it
Oh,
touches, but what's touching that.
it's insane. I mean, just people, it's insane. It's the yin and yang, and
Yeah,
somehow it exudes a force. I literally play with magnets throughout the day. They're just so satisfying. And
yeah,
then so I think that helps, right? Because people are like, ooh, magnets. Oh, and it's like you're magically in the water world when you're like cleaning
yeah.
it and you're like not wet. And so good for him. That's crushing. Okay, so cool. So that's a product. Let's talk about a method.
Okay. Another client of mine has a business. This patent is actually still good. Um, the method was to take travel insurance, group travel insurance, and convert it using her method into an individual policy with the same price, the same. And in the insurance world, this is not possible. Okay, I didn't get it either. Um, but she has a method that takes this group policy and allows individuals to convert it to their own policy and um, add on coverage that individuals want.
Like what?
Um, she uses it mostly for things like the Peace Corps workers who are traveling abroad. So
Okay.
it's and some people want to add on uh, I don't know, lost luggage insurance or medical insurance or uh, you know it's tsunami insurance, whatever. Um,
Sure. I don't know. I think the magnet one is fascinating. Insurance
I like
is
the
like the
magnet.
worst. I isn't
The
it?
method is making a lot more money than the magnet did, though.
Oh,
So
is it?
yeah,
Yeah, man. See, like this whole insurance thing, like to me, insurance is just, it's like the physical or the ideological embodiment of fear, right? It's like, don't
well,
be
that's exactly
afraid.
what it is. That's
You know what I
exactly
mean?
it.
It's like, don't be
You have to
afraid.
protect
Like,
yourself against some indefinite future happening.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. And it's like, well, no one wants to talk about life insurance, but let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's
And
talk about it. You're gonna die someday.
And all these people, and look, you should have life insurance. I'm not arguing against life insurance. I'm saying a lot of people, like in my world, in the whole world of BNI and small business owners and small business marketing, people will say, insurance agents will say, no one as a child dreams of being an insurance agent. So it's one of those, I want to be a paleontologist. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a fireman. I want to sell life insurance. It's just
Yeah, that
never,
conversation doesn't
it's
happen.
never one of them. And
That kind
so,
of that
you know
conversation
what I mean?
just does not happen.
So I don't know. I just started offering insurance to my employees. Oh my God. I don't even want to go into this path. It's going to raise my blood pressure again. When you talk
Let
about
somebody else handle hire the
they,
insurance agent to
they,
handle that. You hate
I know
insurance.
it's still a
Why are you
pain.
doing that?
It's still,
Why
no,
are
I
you
did
thinking about
hire, I
insurance?
still did. It's still a pain in the ass. It's still like a million different things. And you got to do this and check this box and this over here. And then it's permanent over there and the federal government, this and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, insurance
Yes.
subject change. So I am happy that you found your niche. We've got 3 minutes left in the show. I want to make sure that the fine folks listening to this now or after the fact know where to reach you. Where should they go to contact you? Help us out, Nancy.
All right. You can contact me at NB Delain. That's N as in Nancy, B as in boy, Delain. You can see the spelling of my name right there. At IPattorneyfirm.com. That's intellectual property attorneyfirm.com. IPattorneyfirm.com. NB
IP
Delain at
attorney.
IPattorneyfirm.com. Or go visit my website at www.ipattorneyfirm.com.
And if you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, or the other 14 podcasts that we're currently on, Delain is Delain, Delain. And you can watch this, obviously, youtube.com/send it rising if you want to see the video version of the show. If you want to see me barefoot longboard on TikTok, that's youtube.com/send it rising, delivering fantastic and interesting social media news from my longboard right here in beautiful Henderson, Nevada, right outside of Las Vegas. Is it hot outside? It is. Do I go outside anyway and deliver amazingly interesting social media news to you? Yes, every single day. Is it 115 degrees? Am I sweating? Yes. Should you go to tiktok.com/send it rising anyway? Yes, you should. Nancy, it's been a lot of fun chatting with
It
you
has
about
been a lot of fun,
intellectual
Kelly. I
property.
appreciate the opportunity of talking to you today. This has been great.
I'm saying I learned a lot of stuff. I figured that you're basically in the same I don't know, same sort of house as Einstein. To me, you're just like an Einsteinian human being, given what you do.
That's really flattering. I'm
Yeah,
not even going there.
accept the compliment. Final words of wisdom, Nancy, for the entrepreneurs listening to this show.
If you have an invention, don't tell anybody about it until you talk to your patent lawyer. Because you're going to run up against a statutory bar if it gets out there too soon and you haven't done what you need to do.
I ask everyone for words of wisdom, and usually they give me some sort of like cliched entrepreneurial advice. That was a decent little chunk of wisdom. Take it to heart, listeners. All right, we're out. Thank you, Nancy.